When politics unfolds, when decisions are made, we reveal the impact. Welcome to the Polity, your deep dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They finished school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ibuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
And of course, the conversation's already started off the microphone, and we're bringing it live here on the Polity Udala Radio 104.7 FM, your seriously authentic dial. This morning, Friday, the 15th of May, 2026, and the past 24 hours have been a lot. From reports of what happened in my own community to reports of the police officers who were dismissed for, what do I call it now, errant behavior, and down to other developments in the political scenery in Amila, talking about how he almost lost his office thanks to actor Desmond Elliott, and a lot more to be looked at on today's edition of the Polity. I am Chisom Chinedu. Franklin Ibuka, good morning.
Good morning. And to begin from where you stopped, and what happened in Ifitogwari, where we got a report of unrest over there. And from our own verification, it's been confirmed that one person was killed in that. Maybe in the course of the program, we get to throw more light on what actually happened in that very community. You mentioned the video of the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, that surfaced, where he talked about how he almost lost his job last year. No thanks to his relationship with Desmond Elliott, who is a lawmaker in Lagos State. And that video lends the credence to the fact that people believe that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, calls the shot on what happens in Lagos State. Because from the video we have watched, it's all about how the Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly, Madashiru Obasa, was impeached against the president's will. And what actually brought about the video yesterday was the fact that Gbajabiamila was trying to prove that Mr. President believed that he has good relationship with Desmond Elliott, so he could prevail on him not to be part of that very impeachment process. And according to him, he called him on phone, told him not to be part of that. But Desmond didn't listen because he was angling for a position. According to the report, he was promised deputy speaker, so he got so much and actively involved in that impeachment process. And that's why today he is in political limbo. He's going for second term, but every door has been closed to him. So what that simply means that his political career in Lagos might be over, because there are people in Lagos State who can dictate your political career unless you are well aligned with them. There are other things we have in the paper, as tomorrow is going to be the beginning of primary election for APC. It was meant to start today, but because of one thing or the other, they postponed it tomorrow. It's going to be primary for House of Reps. So whether it's going to be rancorous or whether it's going to be peaceful, time is going to tell. But Mr. President seems to have foreseen what might happen, and that was why he issued a statement yesterday asking everybody not to see it as a do or die affair. And he has endorsed consensus, because he's asking party to go for consensus. And even if you win in moderation. Even if you lose in moderation. So tomorrow we'll see how that unfolds, whether it's going to be good for the party, or it's going to open a can of worms, or open a page for distress ahead of the election.
All right, then Ogalagidi is here with us in the studio. Good morning, Dr. Tony Olisambeki.
Good morning, Adifi Togwali. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, India Nambara. Good morning, India Onitsha, Donidu. Good morning, India Sumu. Good morning, India Afia, India Luaka, India Nkuzi, India Oyibo. The pensioners, and also our senior citizens, the physically challenged, mentally challenged, and everybody challenged in one way or the other. They financially challenged, and also those in religious ministry, traditional ministry, because we have traditional ministry these days. But we know very well that the government is coming so hard on fake pastors, as is the same with the fake native doctors. And we must also extend it to fake orthodox doctors. And we're a doctor and cable fake native. And cable fake orthodox. When we talk about orthodox, we're talking about the conventional doctors, those that took Socratic oaths. But nevertheless, we welcome everybody as far as this program is concerned. I'm very glad and happy that we are being received far wide. And there was a friend that called me from Enugu yesterday, and he was making some more like thoughts about what we are doing here, saying how this thing is spreading very rapidly in Enugu State. And we bring all the states around us into the conversation, from southeast to south to southwest, north central. But I don't know about the north, but you know very well that with the internet, we are there. You can listen to us. We have a friend who usually join us from Zamfara State, and we have also those that join us from China, from Kuwait and Korea, and many other places. You are welcome. We thank God Almighty for a beautiful day like this. You know, women will tell you, thank God it's Friday. Men will tell you, it is another day. But in every case, we know very well that it's Friday, and Friday is a period of winding down. Another miracle of waking up. Thank God for today. We bless His holy name. Just sit back and enjoy the program.
All right, then, just to let you know, we are live on Facebook, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. That's our handle. And then we go over to our headlines to tell you what we have before we start off the conversation proper. On our desk today, we have the Punch newspaper, This Day, Vanguard, and The Guardian. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, fierce lobbying tension as APC primaries begin. That's the banner headline on page 2. It has riders. Don't wreck the boat. Tinubu urges APC leaders, aspirants. Consensus talks collapse in Taraba, Yobe, Kano. Or your APC office attacked. Kaduna moves to campus screening tensions. APC chieftains sue for peace. All of those on page 2. 2027 poll spending may trigger inflation. MPC warns on page 19. On page 7, 2027, Makinde joins presidential race, warns against one-party state. And beside the nameplate of the paper, EFCC operatives assaulted hospital workers, dragged me into van. UUTH doctor on pages 4 and 6. And on page 7 again, 2027, Atiku, Amaechi submit ADC presidential forms. Those are the stories you'd see on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Okay, so over to Vanguard newspaper. The biggest story there says 2027, Atiku, Amaechi, Makinde, Hayatu-Deen set to battle Tinubu. It has riders Atiku, Amaechi, submit farms. Makinde declares Obi vows one term. It's time to save Nigeria, Atiku. Emiloko brought us here. Amaechi blasts APC over hardship. I won't go for second term, even at gunpoint, Obi. It's time to reset our country, Makinde. Why opposition leaders are united against Tinubu, Onyola. And then we go to page 19. Customs hands over illicit substances worth 16.7 billion to NDLEA. On page 20, how mafia fought to frustrate $20 billion Dangote petroleum refinery by Aliko Dangote. On page 13, CNN features Governor Hope Uzodinma and Imo State as West Africa's next investment frontier. On page 8, Nigeria to attract $20 billion in foreign investment this year. Tinubu, he spoke on his international trip. APC primaries, Tinubu once against Rancor, urges fair play on page 8. Wike dismisses PDP APM alliance, says it's political 419. The story is on page 8. Of course, he has the way of dismissing whatever alliance, but his own is the one that holds sway. Of course, he calls himself Mr. Integrity, that he's the one who has integrity. So, if you hear that, of course, you know that you heard from the right source. So these are the headlines on
Vanguard.
On Vanguard newspaper.
On this day, banner headline is Makinde takes 2027 election battle to Tinubu in the Southwest. Declares for presidency. The Riders calls for national unity against one-party rule at PDP APM rally. I understand Wike has disowned that supposed joint rally. Says claims that opposition can't unite is miscalculation. Declares opposition is the everyday Nigerian for whom the nation does not work. Tinubu seeks fairness as APC begins primaries on page 8. And another major headline here is Xi Jinping to Trump. US, China should be partners, not rivals. On page 8 says Washington, Beijing both stand to lose from confrontation. Agree that Strait of Hormuz must be open. PENCOM grants PFA special waiver to invest in Dangote refinery IPO. And the rest are advertorials and picture stories of the Unity Mega Rally Grand Alliance of PDP and the APM.
Okay, so it's interesting to see that Donald Trump of US and Chinese President Xi Jinping were able to meet over what could be of common interest to them. And they had a meeting yesterday in Beijing, and I understand that they are going to have another one today. It's all about how they are going to counter Iran because of the blockade of Strait of Hormuz. And for the Chinese president to say that two of them can thrive on, beneficial arrangement other than on rivalry. So I don't know what is going to be in the coming days, if that is going to help to watch this skyrocketing price of crude of international market. Then over to the Guardian newspaper, the big story there says nutrition crisis, economic crunch, squeezes poultry farmers, pushes egg off menus. That's the big story on pages 4 and 5 of Guardian newspaper. ADC faults fresh loan, FG's economic model on page 3. It has the picture of ADC national chairman talking about Senator David Mark. NEMA last 30 states to possible severe flooding, urges prevention on page 7. Nigeria will attract almost $20 billion FDI this year. Tinubu projects on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Makinde declares for 2027 presidency. Wike rejects PDP APM alliance on page 6. Amid pushback, APC opts for direct primaries as Tinubu warns against do-or-die politics on page 6. NEMA threatens 1 billion naira lawsuit against EFCC over assault of UUTH doctors on page 9 of The Guardian. Nigeria rallies donors, partners to fund 6 billion naira Ogoni cleanup. The story is on page 9 of The Guardian. And two other stories we have on the front page. FG worried as regions receiving 80% education funding record lowest literacy rate on page 37. And the question is, what have they been doing with the fund if they have been receiving much and they have little to show for it? MSF treats over 440,000 malnourished Nigerian children as hunger crisis worsens on page 27 of Guardian newspaper. So these are the stories we have this morning.
All right, then we're going to start up the conversation proper at this point, just to let you know that we are live on Facebook, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. That's our handle. Drop your comment right under the video of the show. And so we are starting off from Anambra State here, and I'll start from home. Yesterday, the 14th of May 2026, about 3 people were reportedly killed during what looked like a riot in Ifitogwari, in Ayamelum local government area of Anambra State. According to reports, a young man vandalized a school. As a matter of fact, from the report, he was known for vandalizing certain infrastructure, taking out the doors, the windows, and he was caught this time around, and he was tortured. Now, the first question is torture. Isn't security officials Agune Chamber supposed to arrest and hand over to the police? He was tortured and released. When he got home, he slumped and he died. Other young persons organized themselves and went on a protest. Touched an Udogachi vehicle parked in the house of, or rather, a vehicle belonging to Agune Chamber now, parked in the house of the leader of the vigilante in that community. And when they burnt the vehicle, some parts of the house of the man was also burnt. And they proceeded to the second member of vigilante. They also destroyed the windows in his house, the third person the same. And now they got to a particular community called, or village rather, within the community called Udala, and the house of a particular vigilante member called 30. And they were resisted, and gunshots were released, and 2 persons were hit by the bullet. 1 person died, 1 person, as at this morning that I spoke to people from there, is still receiving treatment. And so it's been a lot of things now. I've read people from that area calling on young people to rise and fight, and what we are afraid of now is a further escalation or de-escalation of the matter now, because we might just have another breakdown of law and order, and it might possibly get worse. But Tony, let's start with the core role of vigilante members. Are they in any way empowered to torture?
Well, when you talk about torture is one of the things we have seen around different security operatives, and I know very well that we have a law against torture. There's no doubt. Nobody has power to torture anybody. No, not even the police, not even the Navy, not even military. Just as I've always said that we are basically not doing things that are the way they should be done in law, because nobody monitors, nobody checks, nobody finds out. The truth remains that, just like I said, we are talking about vigilante here. Torture is prevalent, because for police, they believe that it's through torture that people will make confessional statements. Most times when you hear confessional statement, they will tell you that it will be very difficult to get somebody convicted where there are no evidence or prevailing evidence. These days, what they usually do is to torture the person, put the person to the level that he may even confess the one he never did, just to be free. At the end of the day, that confessional statement may be used, but remember, if you torture somebody, if you put somebody under torture, and you extract any statement before court of law, it is invalid because of the process upon which it was extracted. If it is observed that was extracted under duress, it will not count, it will not be admissible in accordance with provisions of Evidence Act. The truth remains that this is prevalent, just like I said, yes, but nobody is permitted to do anything like that. Just like we have in Nigeria Anti-Torture Act 2017, but we know very well that the Act provides that confessions or statements obtained through torture are inadmissible in court. If that's one of the provisions of the Act. Victims of torture have the right to seek compensation and rehabilitation. Of course, they can also sue for issue of violation of their fundamental human rights. And anyone who participates in, orders, or permits torture can be prosecuted. And police, of course, we see many of them where issues like this have been raised and they face prosecution. Public officers found guilty, there is imprisonment term, dismissal from service. So we know these things, but the point is, some of these things are done in secret because nobody who will torture you will do it in the open. It's done in secret, but if he's found out that he inflicted injuries and these things are traceable to a person who inflicted them, that's torture. I have said it many times that under the Constitution of the country, Section 34 of the Nigerian Constitution guarantees the dignity of the human person and prohibits torture and inhumane treatment. That's much I can say about that. But when we talk about issue of vandalism, as you mentioned, that a man is known to have been serially vandalizing public properties. It could be school, it could be church, it could be hospital. Because these are things we see in most villages, most communities. If you equip the communities with these things, before you know it, somebody have come and then take all the electricals, take the bulbs, take the wires. I don't know why things are going on in such manner. You hardly see any public school, even the ones that are well fenced with gates. You see people, they will scale the fence and extract some of these things and go and sell them off. When we are in secondary school, I can't recall any class in one of those schools except mission schools that are well guided. Because if you come to mission schools, things like this are not done because they protect those schools. You ask, why are these mission schools well protected? Because they see that things like this do not happen. They guard the school. But the one for the public, that is public schools, these things are not well protected. And community are the ones supposed to take care of these things. Since we have public transformers are vandalized, they will take away the cable, they will take away so many things and sell them off. The community should be also a vigilante in their own capacity. They must watch over these public properties in their domain. They are entitled to see to its protection. And for somebody who is doing this if you talk about it, for me, the community should have raised alarm when somebody is in a habit of things. You don't wait until he does that. In every community, they know the thieves. They know those who behave animalistically, those who pick things that do not belong to them. And you see such a person because he's your brother, because he's your sister, because you are related to the person, because you don't want to talk, you don't want to get involved, the person will even hurt you more because you wouldn't know the one he will get himself involved will be the one related to you or linked to you. My concern is this: we can always help ourselves. The security outfit who engage in torture is no. Of course, they should go in for it. Even the person caught in this can swear you, but you can't be in this case and you assume the security personnel. And the only person that can sue or his consent will be given before such suit will be instituted will be the person. Maybe any human rights organization may decide to take it up, but how can you take up something when you know the person has vandalized schools, vandalized things? How do you justify? Because the public will look at you. What are you doing? Yes, he was tortured, but look at what he has done. You want to pick up his battle. What about the schools and other things he has also vandalized? Are you going to also pick that battle? That is the issue.
Totally. I wondered, why do we have security agencies always resorting to torture as the only way they can extract confessional statements when we know that there are other ways that can be done? Is it that they are not well trained? Is it that they are always in a hurry? Is it that our system permits such? That's why they research that, because in most cases, when you see security operatives going to arrest people, it's always very aggressive, very provocative. The way and the manner they go about it, they go about it in a commando style, whereby at any slightest utter of any statement you make, somebody can slap you and kick you. Whereas the law presumes that a suspect is innocent until pronounced guilty by a court. And then, you now wonder again why this thing is thriving. Is it thriving because people who have been found to be cooperating this issue of using torture to extract confessional statements? Is it that nobody cares to see if they can be prosecuted? Because looking at the 1999 Constitution, it's against torture because it provides for dignity of human person. You look at the Anti-Torture Act you mentioned of 2017, it's criminalized it, yet it thrives almost on a daily basis. Look at the one that happened in Akwa Ibom State, where EFCC operatives went to the hospital, teaching hospital, to verify medical reports, and doctors were brutalized. So why is it this very way?
Well, just like I said, most of our security personnel, during their training, the trainers emphasize more on tactics, physical fitness, organizational rule, or the rules guiding their operations. They don't emphasize on issue of human rights violation, abuse. Not that they don't put it to them, but they don't emphasize it and ensure that it is no, totally reprehensible, totally unacceptable, and also put it to them that it can also lead to a dismissal, because many of these security officers that are well known for torture, many of them are in the service. Some will tell you that these are the people that gain promotions. It has become a culture in our climb. And people who are tortured are keeping quiet. Even the community, the society is quiet about it. And people talk about it when one of their own is involved. But we don't talk about it collectively and say, we do not want this. For me, it's an act of impunity. It generated wrong pieces to the point that in 2017 it was codified in our statutes. Like I mentioned, Anti-Torture Act is a federal law, no doubt. And if you look at Section 2 of that very act, which defines torture broadly to include any act by which severe pain or suffering, when you talk about suffering, both physical or mental, is intentionally inflicted on a person for purpose such as obtaining information, confession, punishment, intimidation, coercion, or even discrimination. See, there are people that will not physically inflict the pain on you. Do you know what they will do? They will put you in custody. They will starve you food and tell you you are starved because you've not been able to tell us what. The person will be in custody for 2 days. No food, no water. That is torture. You've not inflicted physical pain, but you've inflicted mental pain.
Tony, you said people to not speak as a,
collectively make a demand. We don't want this.
Okay.
Collective statement that this is not what we want. I'm not talking about some NGOs organization that comes and I'm talking society.
Okay, so I because I want to know what you expect from the people if we are going to rein on this terror of security operatives using torture to extract confessional statements. I'm asking because in 2020, there were moves being made to improve the way policemen extract confessional statements. And in that 2020, that this program called Rodak program, which was then supported by European Union as of that very moment. They went to Oku's SARS unit then. That was in February 2020. And they commissioned what they called statement taking facility. Those kind of things you see in US, those things you see in UK, where you come into a room, you have facilities, even lie detector, they're all there. And while you are taking these statements, you're having video record of the statement taking, so that when you go to court, somebody can even present it to show how you were able to extract that. But guess what? That was not used. In fact, it was even vandalized. The money spent on that got into waste. So if we're going to change this culture of using torture to take statement from suspect, from the people, what do you expect? From the government, what do you expect? From relevant authorities, what do you expect that we need to be doing?
Okay. Just like I said, society, let me put it this way. Things we see are things we unknowingly accept. When a society unknowingly accepts anything, it stays with them. Why I say unknowingly, they know it's wrong, but feel handicapped on what to do. And it comes on and it becomes part of them. But when they say no to something, it will not stay with them. You asked, what do I expect from authorities, from society, from organizations, from those? The law against torture, I can't remember anybody who has been convicted of torture. Tell me one. I don't know, because the law, just like I told you earlier on, was assented by Mr. President in 2017, and the president that assented to that law was President Muhammad Buhari. I can't remember or be of knowledge of anybody, any individual, serving in any security outfit or non-security outfit. Because if you look at the punishment for torture, especially Section 9, if the torture leads to death, life imprisonment. Where it does not, but pains and other things are inflicted on the person, 25 years imprisonment.
And so now that the person, obviously, according to reports, died from these pains inflicted on him,
that it can be taken up by the family and the people who were involved. Life imprisonment faces them go and read Section 8 of that. Let me say,
do you think that with the way everything has degenerated now, the family can,
it stays with them? I said earlier on, when you allow things to stay with you, because you feel, he was stealing, we can't challenge this, look at the cause, look at the reaction. See, let me say this. It's expected that any reaction must be appropriate to a particular cause. When a reaction is excessive to a particular cause, it creates imbalance and the law comes in. I have to be honest to you, because if you also go by the provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, in fact, it tells us how even arrest can be made, because frankly, you did mention something about commando style and things like that. If you go to Section 8, subsection 1 of Administration of Criminal Justice Act, it provides that a suspect shall be accorded humane treatment, that's the word, humane treatment, having regard to his right to dignity of his person, and shall not be subjected to any form of torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. That's Section 8. And subsection 1 of Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015.
Do these people who administer criminal justice know the laws that are supposed to be binding on them? Because I doubt if they did, they would simply go out to brutalize people. And again, I am curious to find out, are they banking on the legal system of Nigeria not being very proactive, hence, and also quite expensive, hence the fact that families rarely sue, and cases are oftentimes adjourned till infinity?
No, the truth is, forget about the fact that the cases are adjourned till infinity. You must set a record. And it must serve as a deterrence to some of the things we are seeing.
That's what I'm asking. Do families sue? Are these security officials, like the Agune Chamber guys, are they really banking on the fact that there is no precedence? Families have not been suing
because
they just do it and get away with it. Simply put,
they do it because we have accepted it unknowingly. Because if you have set up a record, if you go and meet any one of them and discuss or probably ask the person, do you know about anything Anti-Torture Act of 2017? I bet you will not know. Meaning that even while they were being conscripted, some of these things were not put straight to them.
All right.
When you conscript people to be law enforcers, they should know the laws related to their enforcement, the do's and things like this. I don't know. It's not just Agune Chamber. I'm talking about even the police and some other things. We understand when the law says if you want to enforce arrest, you can also break the ceiling. The law does not say you should kill because...
Or you should brutalize.
Or brutalize. You can break ceiling. You can scale fence. But it should be where the suspect, one, is dangerous. Leaving him could cause harm to the public. If the suspect is not dangerous, there are other ways you can still get him. You don't need to break ceilings. But if the suspect is dangerous, leaving him will ultimately cause a concatenation of other things. You must do everything possible to get him arrested. And these things are prescribed. Most times when we talk about these things, we have such law. How many people have been convicted? Nobody. Are we seeing torture on daily basis? The answer is yes. We keep seeing this. The law is there. Maybe in principle, on paper, because we have not utilized it. The society, and some legal practitioners, so many of them could make good case with this. Yes, many of them that are looking for ways to become whom they want to be. Things like just get the consent of the person and then you get it moved.
All right, quickly, let's look at Mr. Ken Makai's directive to Agune Chamber security personnel to stop wearing masks while on duty across the state. During a routine meeting he had with Agune Chamber commanders drawn from the 179 communities and the 21 local government areas. And I am curious to find out if you see them adhering this time around, Tony, quickly before we go on break.
I can't say if they will be seen adhering to this or not. Remember, we have said things like this. I think maybe close to 1 year. We did extensive analysis on this. And we said, masks should be worn if there is a covert operation or hardened criminals, sophisticated criminals are being pursued. I remember when it was an issue here. I remember my statement. Probably that was taken into consideration after close to a year. You don't wear masks within civilian population on where you are performing your duty. You don't need to cover yourself. But he gave this warning, or probably he gave this directive, he gave this order so late.
All right.
So late. It ought to have been given ab initio even when we talked about it.
So let's hear Ken himself.
So you see that we not need to know. But most importantly, now the same way that a criminal Charlie is the man Charlie is now yes, mass with the high mass. Oh, you know, the man barrier break, they can Without emphasizing so much on this, no masters. Ego, opening on a community, not a local government, not a state. Man, don't we hear the mask? NEMA gathering. After all, I want to say I am a leader. What of the Igbo who get us the most we will get? And you know the mask. Many of you will have to say, so it's not as if now I'm only able to say good. You go in the now after home or whatever now, and I'm my no mask. The group the media or the banana with that no mask. If I was with these guys, because most of us are in these guys book and all. One of them also we have started place with these guys. If they are all. Man, I can't wait to say more. You live back at the Grupa media world. Yang orang mana you represent apa yang itu apa. I went into highest man.
Okay, so Tony, this was Emeka speaking to those vigilante commanders yesterday, and some people have asked the question: is this not a little too late? How many years after Dogachi was constituted? Abiagune Chamber, you're now coming to something that we have been talking about since.
Remember, Agune Chamber was set up in 2025, January. So it's about a year plus. I think it should be a year and some months. But before then, we have Anambra AVG, the Anambra Vigilante Group, AVG. But remember, it was a law that was repealed and co-opted into the Homeland Security law. But the point remains that he was actually having a tete-a-tete with the operatives of this very secret outfit. I had expected this to come official. For me, this was purely informal communication. I don't have anything wrong with informal communication, but it should be formal. There should be a circular coming from his office to all the local government commanders and at the same time members of the unit. If possible, they should also subscribe to a particular ethics of conduct, where a form will be given to them. They will fill those things and they will read some of these things. Apart from the issue of marks, he raised another issue of checkpoints, mounting unnecessary checkpoints. And he maintained that where checkpoints will be mounted will be where that is maybe a high-risk area. And it will be done in a way that criminals are being targeted. You don't just come along Oka Road that you know is not a high-risk area, or Territory Road is not a high-risk area. Most of these, you mount a checkpoint. Checkpoint should be mounted at high-risk area or high-risk zones, or where it is believed that criminal elements may have camped. And that should be the procedure. The informal communication is good to communicate it to them in the level they will understand, but it must be formal. There must be a circular. There will be a memo to that effect. He must come out with a memo making these directives. And it becomes something that sends a strong signal. If possible, the issue of professionalism, I have always emphasized on that. If I were to be in charge of some of these things, I'll tell you that these guys, of course, you may have one or two bad eggs, but majority of them, you see how this duty will be discharged. Professionalism. It must be done, not just because our law says it has to be this way or be that way. I was actually talking about Section 8 of the ACJA, even Section 4 to 8, details that. I'm talking about international best practices. See, we must get things right. We must not continue with the colonial mentality. Brutalization, commando style, Gestapo style. That's what the colonial masters left while living. And we continued with that. And we've seen that in most security operatives.
Tony, most importantly now, because it's good that a directive was given, to the commanders of these very people. So it's not left for them to go to their different areas and cascade the information. But what is left is supervision and monitoring. Because if people get to spot these guys doing what they have been banned from doing, how do they communicate to their supervisors?
Definitely, as we said this in the other day, was it not 2 days ago? Frank, we were saying this. They should set up public complaints units. It must be set up in every local government. Probably, I'm gonna send a SMS to him. People should be allowed to supervise these people. That's taking ownership of security apparatus. That's why we are.
And you're sure they are not going to go rogue on the people?
Why would they do that? That's
because they are humans and Nigerians.
How would they go high-handed on somebody who may have sent a message which must be treated with utmost confidentiality? If a complaint comes against this person, you don't need to know about who made such complaints. Voice will be extracted. Evidence will be adduced. You don't need to know the person. That's how he's being treated. There should be public complaint units. The idea is to let them know that they are being supervised by the people they work for. It should sink in their brain that they are owned by the people, they work for the people, supervised by the people, monitored by the people. That's why I'm calling for this state security, state police, community police, town police. Let people take ownership. I was actually looking at the election, county election and borough election that happened in UK. I think it was around 7th of May or thereabouts. We are told that the ruling party in UK, the Labour Party, lost about 1,400 seats. 1,400 counties originally on that Labour Party. I thought that our good friend Kemia Badnock, her own party, Conservative, would give Labour a strong challenge. But guess what? Plus or minus, I think they lost about seven or I think 6 or 8 counties because they won about 800. Previously, they were holding something close to that. No gain. It was a reform party. That surprised everybody. I think Niger Farage, if I can recall, surprised everybody. Winning about 1,400 and something counties. Because I studied the demography of the election. What does that tell you? It's not by talking. People are seeing, monitoring, making judgments on things. And when KB was talking about we're going to stop, night or knife attack in different counties, on different roads, because they usually have knife attacks. We are going to fix the portals, some portals that have been left unattended to. Because, when we stay here, we think everything is uhuru over there. It's when you listen to the politicians, you understand that it's not always good, but it's not as bad as our own case.
All right, then, speaking about our own case and our own political scenery, we understand that Atiku, Amaechi, Makinde, Hayatu-Deen are all set to battle with President Bola Tinubu come 2027. This is just as Amaechi and Atiku submit forms. Makinde has also declared. Obi has also vowed that he's only going for one term. He said it's time to save Nigeria, and even if a gun is put to his head, he will not run for a second term in office. And of course, we have a former River State Governor and Transportation Minister Rotimi Amaechi submitting his form to run under the ADC, and he said yesterday that the local policy of the APC flung the citizenry into hardship. Sheyi Makinde also yesterday, former Oyo State Governor, formally declared his intention to contest come 2027 under a new opposition alliance involving the PDP and the Allied People's Movement, APM, saying the alliance is the beginning of a broader political coalition. And then, Tony, this coalition is one that has come under questions. The likes of Wike saying he's not party to this coalition. But then, can opposition parties truly unite? maybe decide to put up one candidate, especially what APM and PDP is. I don't know, the charade, because I don't know, with the likes of Wike still in the PDP and wanting to decide everything, I don't think this is anything to go by. But what do you make of all of these interests?
I think there's no reason to believe that the opposition will field one candidate. They had experimented on that, and we've seen that it was more like impossibility. We looked at what Bolaji Abdullahi said. Was it not a day or 2 days ago? He was actually quoted to have said that Amaechi threatened to leave coalition because he felt that David Mark-led leadership was giving P2B preferential treatment. Didn't you hear that? He threatened to leave. And he was to be also counseled and placated that that was not the case. You see the anger, and you saw how he went around talking about how better in governance and other things he mentioned when compared to P2B. That is one. And then you also look at the ambition of two persons, Atiku and P2B. Atiku sees his ambition as something he had always dreamt of. He cannot trade this ambition with anything. He cannot. That's Atiku Abubakar. And P2B being pushed and also poised by the movement, the wave, and other things he believes in. And he feels no. Before now, even if I was considering being a running mate, of course I have listened to him where he said that his own is not do or die. And he's not so desperate. But there are some statements made by him that one would also say, can you correlate? Can you relate these two statements? Even at the gunpoint, I will go for one time. What's the sense of bringing gunpoint? I followed Facebook posts, and you know what people were saying? Where you made such a statement, you will never leave Abga. And even swore. No matter what. But something made you to leave. Even when you think that made you to leave was justifiable. But look at this, the oath you took. No matter what, no matter on no ground would you leave. If you see why you should not make such statements. I don't know if you understand me. You must be consistent with statements. If you say that I will never leave Abga no matter what, the word no matter what, whatever happens, even if it's justifiable, you have left. You have defiled that statement. That is one. But we know very well that things have changed. Nobody knows tomorrow. Nobody knows tomorrow. Tomorrow have his own place. For me, you can give your works. You don't need to mention at gunpoint. Give your works. You go for one time. Unnecessary bringing the issue of gunpoint. Because there are those that will interpret it as desperation. But there are those that will not interpret it that way. Depends on who is talking. Having said that, these two men, definitely there will be vote splitting. If you look at the vote gathered by P2B and the vote gathered by Atiku, put them together, the two votes on the two camps, their votes exceed that of President Tinubu. Vote splitting. Somehow. And other factors handed the president the victory as declared by INEC, not declared by me, or as declared by INEC. You can make or factor anything around that. But the point is, the way it looks like at this point, they can't have a single candidate from the coalition because the coalition has even collapsed. What coalition are we talking about again? The ADC that serves as a coalition party is now on its own because you have NDC, you have ADC. There is no more coalition party as we speak. P2B has moved on. Atiku is still there. And look at what is going on in ADC. Amaechi wants to run. He's not considering being a running mate to anybody. He's not considering that.
But then knowing that Atiku is also in the ADC, while Amaechi is there, I don't want to preempt the primaries But we know some persons have been accused of dollarizing primaries. Do you think that Amaechi is willing to go toe-to-toe with that?
Well, the primaries is not going to be delegate primaries. It's going to be direct or consensus. And from the look of things, they're not going on with consensus. Because if you look at provisions of the law, Section 84, clearly put it that all the aspirants must agree to consensus arrangements. And they must assent to it in a written form, not orally. They must assent to or consent to either any of the two.
Okay.
But the most important thing is, having said that, what is going to come on in ADC will be direct primaries.
Let's hear what Abdullahi had to say. Also, we'll probably have some time to listen to what Badabia Mila said yesterday as well.
Interview, but I'm going to say this particular one. There was a time that His Excellency Rotimi Amaechi went to the national chairman and was threatening to leave the coalition. Do you know why? He felt that the chairman was pampering Peter Obi, that he was conceding everything to Peter Obi. I had two deputies. One of them was brought by Peter Obi. Amaechi cannot point at anybody in the NWC that you can say is an Amaechi man. I doubt if Atiku can say, okay, this is my person I nominated. The National Organizing Secretary was a Peter Obi man. And by the way, before His Excellency Peter Obi joined the coalition, you had other people like Osita Chidoka, the former Minister of Aviation, in the coalition, working very hard for the coalition building. He was hoping to be the National Organizing Secretary. But when Peter Obi came, in order to bring him, to give him a sense of belonging and everything, that's how we lost Osita Chidoka. Because we now gave that position to Peter Obi to nominate, And there are so many other people within the party system, within the party structure that he nominated. Apart from, so other people were like, why are you giving this man this so much credit? Because we recognize that politics is a game of addition. And the more people were able to lock in, and if we have to make some concession that is not going to kill anybody, then we have to make those concessions. And that's why we did. So if anybody should be complaining of toxic environment or marginalization within the party, no, I don't think His Excellency Peter Obi, given what I know to be the truth. I think they
Okay, so Tony, there you have it. What do you make of all of the things that he said? And of course, saying that Obi was not marginalized in the ADC?
Well, Obi didn't come out to say he was marginalized. He never made such a statement. And he said that he still have respect for the leadership of ADC. Probably he's looking at some comments made from different corners and probably wants to set the record straight. In setting the record straight, he mentioned that there was a time Amaechi walked to the national chairman and threatened to leave the coalition. That national chairman was pampering Obi, and apart from pampering him, was more inclined or aligned to him. But that was something they sorted out. Man, just like we have always said, politicians will look at ways to see who they will outwit. Probably Obi saw these things coming, the toxic environment within ADC, and possibly left. But there are many reasons why he left ADC. But he gave one reason, that because they were in leadership crisis and litigations everywhere flying. But there could be other reasons which we may not want to delve into. Abdullahi Adamu making his own statement that they have done everything possible to create a conducive environment. Anybody talking about anything toxic environment, toxicity, that these things were never there, is also subject to debate because we are not there. A lot of things must have transpired, because if you look at statement credited to Kenneth Okonkwo, he was, I think, on one of the private or national TV yesterday or 2 days ago, and he was asked, why is he so much against Obi? He said he's not against Obi. He has nothing against Obi, but he's concerned about Igbos producing Nigerian presidents. That's what he said, Kenneth Okonkwo. That his penchant is for an Igbo person to be a president. And he also reminded everyone how Mr. Tinubu, the president, how he walked out for a Yoruba man to become a president. In fact, one of the anchor, I think the anchor to the program asked him, is it now an ethnic thing that you want somebody from the southeast to be the president? He said it's not an ethnic thing. It's more or less issue of justice. That's what he said. And now he was asked that Obi is from your own area. Why are you supporting Atiku? Because it seems that it runs contrary to what you want. He said that those who are saying Obi or nothing, that's where he's against those people from Southeast. That is not the only person from Southeast. You can't just say Obi or nothing. There are people from Southeast. That is where his anger lies. That his own permutation is to make an alignment with the Northern Bloc in a way Tinubu did in 2015, that the Southwest made an alignment with the North, where the North went there for 8 good years and passed the ball back to Southwest. It was a strategic alignment, and that's how Southwest get the spot for the second time when Southeast has not got it. That Atiku started promoting Atiku by saying that Atiku told PDP in 2023 that he will step out of the race if PDP zones his ticket to Southeast, not to the South. That Atiku was very vocal that PDP should zone his ticket to Southeast. He will step out. But likes of Mike and those who wanted to contest from South part of the country said no. And Atiku said, if you cannot zone it to the Southeast, he is in the race. And that was why he contested, because PDP could not zone this ticket to Southeast. That part, like in 1999, all the political parties zoned their ticket to Southwest. That was why we had Olufale from then AD, and then we had Obasanjo from PDP, and then APP as at that time also adopted Olufale as their candidate. So what it means that the 3 political parties at that time chose somebody from the South, from Southwest as their candidate, and that was how Southwest produced the president in 1999. And it was done so not because of ethnicity. It becomes an issue of justice because of what happened in 1993, where one of their own was denied the presidency over some politics that played out at that period. It was a case of justice. That what they did in 1999, they should as well do it this period. And what he's trying to do is to make the same alignment to be made, where Atiku will pass the ball back to somebody in Southeast. But Obi, fine and good, but it cannot be either Obi or nothing. That's where he's coming from. I listened to that very interview, and these were his statements, but I didn't even go deep going about it. But he has made so many scathing statements against Obi.
Okay, Tony,
it's not a way to go about whatever permutation he's thinking about.
Tony, I want to leave Kenneth Okonkwo and his demons, so that he can deal with his demons, because it's political season, like I said. The transfer window is still open, so you can have your transfer to any place. Now, I'm taking a key from what Abdullahi said, this video that we just listened to, where, for me, 2 things came out from there. He said that the party made some concessions to Obi, and he was categorical. He mentioned like 2 positions. He also talked about the fact that Ostachidoka was one time, part of the coalition plan until that grant was considered to Obi, and that was what Chidoka is no longer, is not visible in that very arrangement now. If there is any element of truth in what he said, so the claim that ADC was built or was created. Now, ADC coalition was created as a launch pad for Atiku. To what extent would it stand?
Well, if you say ADC was created as a launch pad for Atiku, there are those that have such notion and thoughts. The question is how? Because we know when ADC has been existing until Ralph Nwosu and his group were met, and these issues were discussed, and they were thinking of fielding a single candidate. And we said that time it wasn't going to be possible. I said it. I have looked at the people involved. I have looked at the persons involved, and I know what they want. Who will step down for each other. And I found that it wasn't going to happen. But when they joined the coalition, It's more like a Muele going to Lagos with every interest. And yes, I have said it many times, and I also said it yesterday, that there's nothing wrong for somebody to make some demands in a political party if he has got influence, if he has got followers. During the time of Muhammadu Buhari, when Buhari joined APC, because APC was also a coalition party, just that it was formed from scratch. APC was a coalition party where all the major political opposition came together and fielded one candidate. There were 5 that ran during the primaries. You have Atiku, Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, Isaac from the leadership newspaper, and Isaiah, sorry. And then we had, who else again do we have in that? Amaechi. Amaechi was part of those who ran for the primaries of APC in 2014. Remember, before joining the coalition, Tinubu had promised Buhari total support and painted a picture how he would emerge victorious in that primary. It was a demand Buhari made. Buhari made that very demand. Not that the entire group promised him. It was Tinubu that promised him, from my blog, I'm going to support you. And from what we have on ground, we have a strong network. The ACN network, you will emerge. We're going to team up with CPC. You're going to emerge. And that's exactly what happened. Not that the party made a promise, but that was why when Obi came into ADC, he met Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, and both of them teamed up. The two groups. Rabi said, we are going to support you, but look at also our demands.
Well, demands are always made.
Yes.
Isn't that how political handshakes
That is politics.
are made?
That's politics. Demands. Yes. Look at our demands. Demands I will be a running mate, and you're gonna go for one single time. Pass the ball back to me. If I pass the ball to you, you'll pass back to me. But the question is, those in that coalition, Atiku and Amaechi, became threatened that if you allow Rabi Musa Kwankwaso and Obi with this, it will be a replica of what Tinubu did with Buhari.
Oh, well.
And they were threatened. They created that toxic environment which Abdullahi was trying to deny.
Oh, well, you said it yourself that Obi never said anything about the environment being toxic for him.
Yes, but it was.
Let's stick to the facts of what was being said by the persons involved. He didn't mention, and as a matter of fact, I recall in that message he even said he owes always respect to his leader Atiku Abubakar and all of that. But hey, that's it on one side, because we're almost certainly out of time. We need to open up the phone lines pretty soon. Quickly, let's take a look at what's happening with the APC and their primaries. Mr. President asking for calm and a clear and a calm playing field for everyone. Do you see that actually materializing within the APC, especially with the internal organization that is already going on there?
I've said it many times, APC will have a way to manage whatever crisis that would come out. Would there be crisis? Yes, there will be. But one good thing is that they will be able to manage it, because you have a president who is a national leader who can also give you compensation. If you don't get this, you may get that. So without issue of having the power prerogative to give compensation. The only thing, if you cry no more. We've seen those.
But sorry, you said the party is going to have crisis, and they will be able to find a way out because they have the presence of the party. So what about in cases where he fails to assuage those concerns? I'll give you an instance. In the last election we had in Nigeria, within the APC members in Anambra State, many of them who work for Mr. President. I mean, many of them who worked, when I say work, they worked for Mr. President, but it couldn't count in terms of numbers they put out during the election. At a point in time, they felt disenchanted. They felt neglected because many of them felt they were not integrated. They were not recognized. In fact, at a point in time, we saw how non-APC members and ambassadors were being given an appointment outside those of them. And up to today, I know some of them are still aggrieved and they are skeptical whether they are going to put in all their effort this time around. So So in some states where the president might not be able to, or in some states where presidents suggest that the president did not handle them very well previously, don't you think that there could be crises in those areas?
Well, for me, there will not. Reason, you don't reward effort, you reward results. In politics, efforts are not rewarded. Results are rewarded. You made effort because some of them that made these efforts, they were given money. They were mobilized. The party mobilized you. And you made a zero return or little return. And you want to also be gratified for making zero returns. It doesn't work that way. And that's why the president may not have counted them. And he's not looking at their own affairs. And they have been marooned. That's the way it is. Would they cause problem? The answer is no. They can't cause anything. The only thing is that they will cry. Some of them have started integrating themselves in one way or the other. That's what they've started doing. But the point I'm trying to make here is that look at former governor of Cross River State. He was asked by Mr. President not to run. He cried. Said, Mr. President, I'm going to do what you told me to do. But Mr. President, hear my cry. That's what many of them will do. At the time this crisis will erupt, they will cry to Mr. President. And the president will tell them, cry no more.
And they will get, what is it called now, compensated with our common patrimony.
Many of them,
ability and capacity or not.
You know, that's just that. Femi Fani-Kayode and so many of them that work for Mr. President after making a U-turn stayed for many years in wilderness. And later on, they were compensated. The point is, politics is a game of interest, but it must be rooted in service to the people.
Let's take a break now, attend to some commercials. When we come back, I see the report pending of the police officers who were dismissed, I think 25 of them.
5 of them.
For misconduct.
I think, let's quickly...
Not even misconduct, for being involved in armed robbery.
Armed robbery, kidnapping. In fact, the report yesterday by the first public relation officer, Placid, opened many of our eyes. In fact, many of us, our eyes were open. We never knew. Some may tell you they knew. But for me, I have heard, and I have not for one done verification, that policemen, they are armed robbers. They're from the statement. Kidnappers.
Armed robbers.
Yeah, some policemen. In fact, the people involved in this
matter,
that they have syndicates. There's a syndicated network within their ranks.
Was it not in a number said that they sold a car that was parked at a police station?
We're gonna talk about that one. Syndicated network, within their ranks. You know what they do? They kidnap people during stop and search. They will stop you. They will kidnap you. They will abduct you. They will keep you in the bush. Make demands. Ransom will be paid, and they wear police tag, police uniform. They use police gun, police vehicle. They use police to do these things. Keep those people there, and the families will call, and ransom will be made. They will go and rob homes, cut away electronics, cars, and tomorrow we see them doing stop and search. The Inspector General of Police must be commended for coming out open. He did not hide anything. He came out so open to made the public to know about these people, but their faces were covered. Nigerians are talking about their faces. Can you show us their faces? He said they have been dismissed. That apart from that, I think it happened in Bayelsa State and in River State. A syndicated network, a ring involving, and we are told that how many people are at large? About 5 are still at large. Different ranks within police, committing kidnapping, armed robbery, and all manner of crimes. And they have, we are told about how many Sienna buses. They have about 4 or 5 Sienna buses. They brought these buses for this kind of game. They wear police uniform. Not bona fide members of the Nigerian police force going about this. And I would tell the Inspector of Police, not just Bayelsa Police Command, River State Police Command, beam satellite. This could be in every state police command. Yes, it could be. We have 36 state command plus FCT. You just talked about that of Bayelsa and River State. beam searchlight more. That's what I will tell him. But I will also commend him for coming out boldly. We have not had such exposition before under any Inspector General of Police. We've not had this exposition. And let me say this thing. For this to be busted at this point does not mean that it just started recently. It means that this has been in existence for God knows when. For God knows when. And people have perished, people have died. We are told that there were those that died in the process. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's all I can say.
All right, then let's take a break now. A commercial. When we come back, the conversation would continue and we get to open up the phone lines for you to join the conversation. Do stay.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Seriously authentic.
Searching for a place to eat good food and still enjoy premium relaxation? Stanley World Agwoka got you covered. Welcome to Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge Agwoka, where taste meets class. From hot, delicious local dishes to mouth-watering African and continental cuisines, pepper soup, grilled meat, rice, drinks, and many more. Everything is fresh and satisfying. Step into Operiche Lounge, a calm, classy environment to chill, hang out, and unwind. Perfect for friends, dates, and after work relaxation. Chop well, drink well, and feel cool morning, afternoon, and night. Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge, a haven for good food, great vibes, top security, and steady comfort. For further inquiry, call 0814-565-6920 or 0813-855-8009.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Right before we open up the phone lines, Tony, NEMA has alerted 30 states on possible severe flooding. Not just flooding, but severe flooding. And every time that we talk about flooding alerts, some persons ask, it can never be overemphasized.
Well, of course, we know the season we are in, and we know very well that even when authorities have not done or they have not been doing what expected of them, we have given a lot of guidelines or some things we have mentioned here that needed to be done. We have thought about creating artificial dams to absorb some of these runoff water, flooding, and all that. We have also talked about drainage systems where necessary. We have also talked about amending the NEMA, Act as against being the notifier or alarmist, and get involved in the work. We know very well they synergize with NEMA, and we want to see a situation whereby we can have even a standalone act establishing both NEMA and NEMA where they take certain actions. You are asking NEMA to get ready for emergencies, and whereas we don't do things that would also prevent these emergencies. For me, it doesn't work that way. I think we should do more on that. And even the state government, even the public, they should be also be wary of this flooding of a thing.
The public needs to actually be very much involved. The
Exactly.
public is actually a very critical stakeholder
Yeah.
in this entire thing. And unfortunately, more often than not, when conversations like this come up, there is way too many excuses as to why people constitute the nuisance that get to ravage them when the rains actually start to, overrun the banks. And whether we like it or not, we need to actually get involved. Else, we would keep crying, unfortunately. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Be as objective as possible. Good morning.
Yes, a wonderful morning to you, lady of the house. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Franklin.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Let me just go straight to the point here. I think when you have a good idea of police, you can unveil things. So I think in the case of Lily, we are terrorizing until we are busted. So I think the Nigerian police has to do a thorough reform represented anybody in the court. Only to be justice from what it is from TV stations. I don't really like because I've never seen a former governor like this Atiku. I saw a record, you can check it. Every benefit people are supposed to get as a former government allowance if he state government is less to 70-something billion for incoming administration. He's supposed to be in the Senate, doing what former governors are doing. You don't want to go there. I don't understand the basics. Even the Stabila that Peter cited, how much is another giving from it? The first payment of Peter is part, whatever the government. How do you get this jealousy coming from the likes of Kenneth Okonkwo, from governors in the southeast, Nigerians, from Nigerians, because most Nigerians trust Peter, most Nigerians believe in him, most Nigerians know that he's a man that can save this country. And rightly so. Okay? When he was in PDP, Atiku again, and Weekend, the last election, we know what happened. For the first time, he got over close to 6 million votes, or more than 6 million votes. And this man, Kenneth Okonkwo, can he win what do you call it, the leadership of his own money? Can Kenneth Okonkwo, in Enugu State, and anybody listen to him, or his local government? I don't know talking about it. Even most of these people are mentioned, they just want to get relevant. The moment you want to get relevant, talk about Tinubu, man that stands among people. I mean, if Tinubu has any question case, why have ICTC not come after it? Why has EFCC not come after it? So it's a man that is in the right world. They tell me, Peter will just emerge as like the country or the nation will just bring him in. I get it. So you talk about the current president and the corruption around the current president. It's overwhelming and it's nothing to write them about.
All right then.
And we can never continue that way. So I urge Nigerians, get your PVC, get ready, because 2027 is a serious business.
Thank you very much. Let's skip to the 2 minutes. Good morning. Are you there?
Good morning, Jesus Chinanu.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tony Sambeki.
You're welcome.
My name is Marrakesh Sugar, calling from Onitsha. Let me start by the tape you guys played when the chairman of Udala Radio was addressing them. There is this statement he made there that is not well with me. When he told them that the face mask, that enters my head. That means they know that these guys, they drink on duty. It's uncalled for. The fact it shouldn't be welcome. Which means them that are supervising these guys knows that they drink on duty. Please, that statement, I don't like it. They should stop these guys from drinking with firearms. Just like the other one in our own street. He was drunk and was flinging gun like he's flinging stick. If he saw him, he said, "I'm stop there, I will fire you now." Until people gather him and take away that rifle from him. He just many people away that night. Until that rifle was taken away from him and he was beaten by people. Please, this guy should not be wearing rifles and be drinking themselves to stop us. I don't like that, please. Then on the side of the other kid you played, the man that was complaining about P2B. Well, P2B, even if you are feeling headache, P2B, you have a running stomach, P2B, you are purging, P2B, they should leave this man alone. Them that have ambition to fight for their own political party, they should fight. P2B doesn't have ambition to fight for a political party. And if you think that you can fight for a political party in Nigeria, you are making a very big mistake. And I want to correct Mr. Speaker, take it to any level. There is no amount of compensation that will stop crisis that I'm seeing in the FGC. You cannot compensate everybody. Do you know how many lawmakers that they have? So they will return all of them back. It is impossible. APC must act. They must see that crisis.
Thank you.
Primaries are enough.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, my speaker, Tony Becker.
You're welcome.
Good morning, system.
Good
I'm
morning.
Franklin.
I did the voice of Honorable Iglesias Okoye from our ancient kingdom, and I'm calling from Newi.
You're welcome.
What we witness within the police rank and file of police is not surprise to me. I will, if we go back to our memory, remember DSP Yamu, Aneme. He's a police officer in Edo, but he had his own gang that he used to operate. We know this. He was existed with an enemy. We know all these things. Coming to P2B, I know P2B as one person that can say something and remain there. Doesn't change. P2B may not even 4 years in rule, may not even remove kidnapping. He may not do many things, but we are not P2B to do one thing. P2B will reset this country. He is not self-centered. P2B can decide to send to the National Assembly some bills to reduce the power of the presidency. P2B would like to remove presidency and appointing innate people. P2B can do that because he's so passionate about this country. Reset this country. This is where we'll get it wrong. A president will appoint this. President do this. So much power on our president. Or P2B will reduce this power. This is what I know of him. And if I achieve this to this country, we are okay. Let us start from there first. Thank you. I'm done.
All right, then 08032216973. Hello. You should try to reconnect. Are you there?
Good morning, I'm there.
Good morning.
Franklin, I greet you this morning. The voice of Honorable Idens, the Mayor, Okufume JP, Okulora, Ochendo Noji. Can I go on?
Absolutely.
May I start with saying P2B here, P2B there, P2B yesterday, P2B today. What a kind of marvelous man he is now in Nigeria. Let me tell you, all these people that are saying one thing or the other about P2B, both Kenneth and the other parties, they are popularizing P2B, and I love that. Let me continue to say one thing or the other about P2B. My happiness is that no one of them has said that he's a criminal or that he has duped Nigeria or do one thing or the other like other politicians. So let them continue to castigate them the way they are doing. They are popularizing P2B. What I know is this. Whether they want it or not, by the grace of God, we will use our vote to put a person that will change the narrative in Nigeria. I don't know. Many of Nigeria, we are suffering and smiling. Look at everything that is happening in this country now. It doesn't perturb people. What they know is how to go again and steal the money of innocent Nigerians. Look at killing every day, killing from there and there. Look at him here now at the university. Look at what happened. They just say, I don't know whether they say 2 or 3 people. But if you go to the media, you see that many people were killed. And nobody is talking about that so serious. It's about 2027. Go to the fuel station now, it's 1,400. 1 liter of gas is 1,400. People are suffering, dying. Nobody is talking about that. Okay, I went to the media and saw where Trump went to USA. See the type of people that he carried there. People that will go and discuss business and things together with the China people. This is the kind of president we need. Not a president we be speaking English. We do this, we do that. We don't have life. Nothing is going. So we want to change the narrative by 2027. I urge people to go and register. And I want to warn. I went to the local government, North. What is happening there is I saw. Please, don't know Lisambeki. You should go there yourself and see what is happening. They are not registering people. You will be there. You see some. We come and take motorcycle, carry the registration something. Start going somewhere. While people are, many people are there waiting to start. Is this the way to go? Thank you and God bless you.
God bless you too. Good morning.
My name is Comrade of FM Onitsha. Can I
go ahead? Go ahead.
Thank you very much. You see, the statement is said to be that even with a gun on his head, that he will not stay beyond one time. I think it is a way of assuring Nigerians, of his vow that he will stay only one time. So for me, one time may not be that okay, but at least it will lay a foundation, a solid foundation for production, which is part of his mantra. But if not the major, if not the major of his, campaign mantra. Then coming to the statement given to Kenneth Okonkwo, I think it was yesterday night.
Are you there? Hello?
Yes. Kenneth Okonkwo is simply driven by his selfish ambition, and that is why he is not consistent. Just like the last speaker said, all the things that have been saying against the nobody has called him a thief. But surprisingly, Kenneth Okonkwo has referred to Atiku Abubakar in the past as a thief, and today he is now idolizing the same person he called a thief in the past. And you look at his level of hypocrisy. He said he wants to, join a coalition that will ensure that an Igbo man is the president of this country by following Atiku. The same Atiku that truncated the chances of an Igbo man to become the president of Nigeria in 2023. The same Atiku Abubakar, who was in 2019, PDP zoned the...
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, Mecca speaking from Onitsha.
Let's hear
We are calling P2B. Who are we going to vote? It's an assumption. Let's assume P2B becomes our president next year. Who are we going to vote as senator representing your area? Who are we going to vote as federal House of Rep member? Would they not do what they did the thing in Anambra State? But the court turned him back. We need to sit up and start doing the needful. We are just fighting with our one leg. We need to stand with our two legs and do the needful. It is we citizens that are holding this country, not the politicians. Politicians are secondary. So we need to start to know whom to vote as our senator and federal House of Representatives. That is how this country will start triumphing and our prayer will start to work. If not so, our prayer is a defeat. Thank you so much.
All right, then let's head over to Facebook and then eventually WhatsApp.
Okay, Jacob Bishop says the coalition is dead. I wish they would support to flush out the APC, but the way things are now is free hustle for the APC on their way back to Asorak. He posted from Ghana. Brendan Okerocha, thank you for following. Master B SJP says federal government of Nigeria is borrowing money from different financial institutions and spending the money like what's that? Okay. He said this is a high level of irresponsibility. He posted from Onitsha. Then Jacob Bishop says many of the police zones have torture chambers in their stations. Many innocent people are always going through hell in the hands of our security personnel. Once in a while, a different investigation team is supposed to pay an unscheduled visit to all security establishments in order to find out things for themselves. Promise saying, he says, let the faces of those dismissed policemen be shown, their state, name, and station. Let all of us in the Southeast support our own person, P2B, to save this country. Well, if you want to know the name of these very people, the names are not hidden. The names are there. They mentioned them. Many of them are inspectors, yes, so they are. It's out there. The names are there, just the face that is not shown, which I think is what the police has been doing recently. If you watch the parade of the suspect arrested in connection with the killing of a cleric in Delta State, the way police paraded him, he was back in the media. So I think that's a new trend now in the police structure. Maazinwore Chief Kwadoromosina, she says it's a case of Nkita Wanya, a policeman always molesting and bullying the masses. That is why I normally say that kidnapping and armed robbery will never cease, because many of our noble security agencies are involved. He posted from Onitsha. Emmanuel Ndukwe, Brenda Okorocha, Onyinye Nelso, Amadi Domike. Thank you all. Then Arinze Jimwe says he's watching from Ibadan. Fancy to make it. Thank you. Talking about the commenting analysis. UG Hana Cho. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you for your input too. Titus Onyegu says, I got information that INEC officials at Ifadigo Home Ball are collecting 1,000 naira for lamination of a temporary card. Okay, that needs to be followed up. Meke Gona says, an update from my end yesterday. I saw some police, or rather, I saw some members of security outfit still wearing face masks after the announcement by Mr. NEMA. Okay, so I needed you to identify whether it still is Agone Chamber or any other security outfit, but perhaps you might be making reference to that one. Honorable Sebastian Igwe from Ugwabobu says the unwholesome activities witnessed in the life of some of security personnel is quite alarming, and one cannot write about the activities of these security agents without torture being in the top list, because they believe that it is an express way to determine what really transpired rather than going to investigation. He said, my speaker, since this has become a talking point, especially in the state of Anambra, what is the governor doing to curb all these mess, most importantly in the security outfit under his watch? Okay. And Dr. Misimo Lebra from Owerimo State says Peter B is the man of his words. He's worthy his bond. He will keep to 4 years. Nigerians will respond positively because the suffering in the country has become ghastly. Killings, hither and thither, and terrorists are being pampered, rehabilitated, and they're reintegrated. Corruption is bleeding the country to death. Every right-thinking Nigerian knows that Peter B has all it takes to bring this country out of the quagmire we have found ourselves in. He is a light set on mountain top to save this country. God will not allow us to keep suffering emotional trauma this government has put us into. So that's according to Dr. Misimo Lebra on our Facebook page. Rochra to Biawi Kejo Christopher from Abatan Sube says we should blame the governor and whoever that is in control of Agone Chamber for not telling them what they are supposed to do. Recruiting people without proper training, orientation, and arming them with what the law says is a grave negligence. Many lives have been lost in the hands of local security agencies, and we are yet to see public trials that will restore confidence back to the people. And he says the state government must embark on reorientation of the entire security outfit. Then, okay, so I think that's what we can acknowledge at this point in time. So, Sami?
We have a comment on WhatsApp. Good morning, Udala FM.
Yeah, microphone.
Oh dear. Chukwu Dozie Okerocha on WhatsApp here from Mihiala says about Kenneth Okonkwo, he should focus on his political party ADC and leave Peter Obi alone. Somebody should please let Okonkwo Kenneth know that politics is not the movie industry. Peter Obi is older than him in politics and in popularity. I rest my case. All right, and Tony, what were your final words as we round off today?
You know, just like we've seen opinions expressed, everybody's entitled to his opinion, and everybody's entitled to support whoever he wants to support. Let's allow choice, or let's allow ourselves to make our own choices. But the most important thing is we must look at it from the angle of sufferings Nigerians are passing through and some other things that we are witnessing in the land. Like I always say, we are here to serve with the raw truth and nothing but the truth. But for those who are saying that the P2B will keep to 4 years, what if the people say no? Who would he listen to? His oath or the people? That would be very, very big, dicey one. Because if he gives the people, let's assume probably he wins, and then he gives the people what they want, and they demand that he stays put, and then he has made a statement at a gun point, what becomes the way out? That's why I say sometimes you can give your works. Nobody knows tomorrow. I said it during the analysis, and I'm very much pretty concerned about that very statement.
All right, then you can get more from WhatsApp again. Says Agone Chamber now collecting money like police. They focus on the money now more than security. Franklin.
Okay, so I'll just drop should I call that something like an advisory to our people? If you understand politics, you know that a politician can speak from different sides of his mouth as long as his interest is protected.
Absolutely.
Now, what I do tell people is when you hear politicians talking, you listen, but you don't take it to heart. Now, what you now owe yourself and the society is that you go to do your own job, and your job is to ensure that that person doesn't have his way. But whereby the person talks, we feel emotional, we feel bad about it, we castigate him. At the end of the day, you see, allow him to have his way. Then we have not done our job. Why am I saying this thing? You must put in this very job. When it comes to politics, in Nigeria especially, you must put in the work. It's not like UK where it's like almost like automated. In Nigeria, you have to sweat it out. And when I say sweat it out, it simply means where your mouth is, you have to put in your money. That's why you see politicians, if you see what they do, you understand that they have learned this very art. You see somebody going to dispose his asset to support somebody he believes in. He is doing that, believing that by the time the person wins, he's going to have a favor. Now, for us who are on the other side, I'm not saying you should go and dispose your asset, but I'm saying whatever little thing you can put to ensure that the person you like or the person you are going for gets to have an edge, you need to do that. If it means to go to the villages to preach to people that this is the right person, you have to do that. But open enough for us to sit down at home and believing that every other Nigerian is thinking like the way you are thinking, you are going to be disappointed, because the way Mr. A thinks is not the way Mr. B thinks. You might think that you are with Ifani. 2 days to election, somebody comes to Ifani and say, if you do this, I'm going to offer you employment, so and so. Ifani changes without telling you. So if we understand this, we have to do the work and ensure that where we have our hearts, our legs go there too.
All right then, and thank you, gentlemen, for your beautiful contribution today. For your calls and your contribution too, we appreciate. Thank you for sticking around with us on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Now, please, let's not take the flood alert lightly. Every one of us, like I said earlier, is an important stakeholder. Else, we're going to have ourselves to blame in the coming days. Well, the government, yes, will have a very big role to play, but in the little ways that we can we not contribute to the nuisance that we are experiencing? My name is Chisom Chinedu. The Polity is going to make a return on Monday through Friday, 9:15 down to 11 a.m. right here on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Great music coming your way from now on to 12 o'clock before our news at noon. Right after that would be Cherry Box at 12:25. Stick around. Udala Radio 104.7 FM.